A millionaire looked for an assistant. He never expected her to disrupt his perfect life. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let us come back to the main character. He believed perfection was something you could engineer. Every morning began the same way. The glass tower woke before the city did, lights flicking on floor by floor, as if the building itself followed orders. At exactly 6:30, he arrived. Same entrance, same elevator, same silent ride up. His suit was pressed sharp, his tie aligned down to the millimeter. Even the coffee in his hand had a measured routine. 2 creams, no sugar, exactly 12 ounces. Control was not a habit for him. It was a principle. As the acting operations manager that week, he kept his title intentionally vague. No announcements, no entourage, just a temporary nameplate on the desk and a quiet plan in his head. He wanted to observe, he wanted to test, and today he needed an assistant. The posting had gone live for less than 24 hours, and already the lobby was filled with candidates. They sat in neat rows, legs crossed, resumes printed on thick paper, eyes scanning the room for authority. Each one looked ready to blend into the system he had perfected, polished, predictable, safe. That was when she walked in, late, not rushing, not apologizing loudly, just a woman in a simple blouse and worn flats, holding a folder that had seen better days. She paused at the doorway, took in the room, then checked her watch, as if time answered to her, not the other way around. A few heads turned, someone sighed. Another candidate frowned. He noticed everything. She signed in with calm handwriting and chose the last chair, not caring that it was closest to the door. When the assistant coordinator called names, she stood without flinching. No nerves on display, no practiced smile, just steady steps and a level gaze. Inside the interview room, he sat behind a modest desk, sleeves rolled up, jacket draped over the chair, on purpose. He did not look like a millionaire. He looked like a man filling in for someone more important. She took the seat across from him and set her folder down carefully. "Before we start," she said, "I want to be honest. I am not the perfect candidate on paper." The room felt different after that. Most people tried to impress him. She did not. She spoke about missed chances and long nights, about needing work that mattered, not just a paycheck. When he asked about weaknesses, she did not disguise them as strengths. When he questioned her availability, she did not beg. She explained. He caught himself watching her hands as she spoke. They were steady, tired maybe, but steady. This was not what he expected. He had designed his life to run without disruption, schedules locked, emotions minimized, people replaceable. Yet across the desk sat someone who did not bend to the shape of his system, someone who answered questions he had not asked yet. Outside the glass walls, the building hummed in perfect order. Inside, something was already shifting, and he had no idea that hiring her would be the first crack in the life he thought was flawless. The offer came faster than she expected. By the end of the afternoon, most of the candidates had already filtered out of the building, heels clicking away in quiet disappointment. She was still there, seated alone near the window, rereading the same paragraph on her resume without actually seeing the words. She told herself not to hope. Hope had a way of costing her more than she could afford. When the door opened and he stepped out, she looked up instinctively. "You can come in," he said. No title, no explanation, just a calm voice that carried authority without effort. Inside the room, the air felt heavier than before. He did not sit right away. Instead, he stood by the desk, reviewing a single page. Her page. "I want to be clear," he said at last. "This position is demanding, long hours, no room for excuses." She nodded once. "I understand. You will be responsible for my schedule, my correspondence, and anything that disrupts workflow." She almost smiled at that word. Disrupt. "I can handle it," she said. He watched her closely, searching for hesitation. He did not find any. "Then you start tomorrow," he said. For a moment she did not move. Then reality caught up, and she stood quickly, gripping the back of the chair as if to steady herself. "Thank you," she said. Her voice stayed even, but her eyes did not hide the relief. He only nodded. That night, she walked home instead of taking the bus. 3 miles, 45 minutes. She needed the time to think. The city felt different when something finally went right. Storefront lights blurred softly. Her phone buzzed with a message she did not answer yet. Rent, bills. Tomorrow could wait. The next morning, she arrived early. Too early. The building was quiet, security still sipping coffee, the lobby echoing with her footsteps. She set her bag down neatly at the temporary desk assigned to her and began organizing without being asked. Papers left from yesterday, a calendar that needed updating, a meeting double booked by mistake. By the time he arrived, the coffee machine was already running. He stopped just inside the doorway. "You did not have to do that," he said. "I know," she replied, "but it needed to be done." Something in his expression shifted. Not approval, not irritation, something else. The day unfolded like a test she did not know she was taking. Calls came in non-stop. Executives spoke to her sharply, assuming she was temporary, replaceable. She absorbed it all without complaint. When a delivery arrived late, she rerouted the schedule. When a junior analyst panicked, she listened. When a problem could not be solved by procedure, she chose people over policy. At noon, he noticed she had not eaten. "You can take a break," he said. "In 10 minutes," she answered. "After this call." She meant it. By late afternoon, the structure he had built so carefully felt altered. Not broken, adjusted. Smoother in some places, slower in others. Human. She stood by his desk with a notepad, explaining a change she had made to the following week's agenda. "I moved the meeting with procurement," she said. "They needed more time. Pushing them now would have cost us later." "You made that decision on your own," he said. "Yes." She waited for the reprimand. Instead, he asked, "Why?" "Because pressure does not create honesty," she replied. "It just creates fear." The room went quiet. He had hired her to observe, to test character without revealing power. What he had not expected was this feeling. Not chaos in the loud sense, but disruption of something deeper, certainty. As she turned to leave, unaware of the world she had just unsettled, he realized something unsettling himself. This job was not going to be simple, and neither was she. By the third day, the test became intentional. He stopped correcting small inefficiencies on purpose, left decisions unanswered, watched what she would do when guidance disappeared. If she asked permission, she failed. If she froze, she failed. If she blamed the system, she failed. She did none of those things. Instead, she adapted. When a senior executive dismissed her authority during a conference call, she did not escalate it to him. She followed up privately, calm and direct, reframing the request as a shared problem instead of an order. The call ended on time. The solution held. He listened from his office, door slightly open, pretending to review reports. Later that morning, he created a conflict, a vendor dispute, delayed invoices, enough pressure to reveal instincts. He forwarded the issue to her inbox without context. An hour passed. Then she appeared at his desk. "I spoke with them," she said. "They are struggling. Their lead accountant was laid off. They are behind, but not dishonest." "You took their side," he replied. "I took the truth," she said. "There is a difference." He leaned back slightly. "And if they cost us money?" "Then we help them fix the process," she answered. "Punishment does not repair systems." That answer stayed with him longer than it should have. At lunch, he noticed something else. She ate alone. Not because no one invited her, but because she chose a quiet corner and opened her notebook instead of her phone. When a junior staff member hesitated nearby, unsure if they were allowed to interrupt her, she looked up and smiled, inviting them to sit. The conversation that followed was not strategic. It was human. He had built a company that rewarded results. She moved through it, rewarding dignity. That afternoon, he pushed further. He misrepresented himself slightly. A passing comment, casual. "I used to work hourly," he said, watching her reaction carefully. "Before this." She did not pity him. She did not adjust her tone. She simply nodded. "Then you know what it is like," she said, "to feel invisible." He said nothing. The truth was, he had never been invisible a day in his adult life. The building buzzed with activity as the week progressed. Deadlines tightened, tempers shortened. He noticed that when stress rose, people gravitated toward her desk instead of his office. Not for authority, for clarity. On Friday evening, long after most of the staff had left, she was still there, updating files, reorganizing schedules for the following week. Her shoulders sagged slightly when she thought no one was watching. "You can go," he said from the doorway. She startled, then relaxed. "I just want to finish this." "You do not get paid overtime," he said, testing her again. She met his eyes. "I know." "Then why stay?" She considered the question honestly. "Because tomorrow will be easier if I do this now." No performance, no hidden agenda. He had spent years believing efficiency required emotional distance, that care slowed progress, that attachment weakened leadership. Yet here was proof that the opposite might be true. As she packed her bag, she hesitated. "Can I ask you something?" "Yes," he replied. "Why are you really watching everything so closely?" The question was simple. The implication was not. He could have lied. He almost did. "Because I want to know who people are when they think it does not matter," he said instead. She nodded, accepting the answer without pressing further. As she walked toward the elevator, unaware of the scale of the life she was standing inside, he remained still, unsettled by a realization he did not welcome. She was not trying to impress him, and that made her the most dangerous disruption he had ever hired. By the following week, the disruption was no longer subtle. It moved through the office quietly, not like chaos, but like a current. Small changes at first. A meeting shortened, a conversation softened, a problem solved without escalation. People noticed, even if they could not name what had changed. He noticed everything. On Monday morning, a department head stormed into his office, irritation barely contained. "Your assistant changed my meeting order," the man said, without clearing it with me. He did not look up from the document he was reading. Was the change wrong? "No," the man admitted, "but that is not the point." "It is exactly the point," he replied calmly. "Thank you." The man left, confused. Later that day, she stood at the whiteboard in the shared workspace, explaining a revised workflow to 3 junior employees. She did not speak down to them. She asked questions. She listened. When one of them admitted a mistake, she did not correct them publicly. She thanked them for catching it early. He watched from a distance, unseen. This was not how he had built things. His system ran on precision and pressure. Hers ran on trust and accountability. Both produced results, but only one left people standing straighter when they walked away. The real fracture came on Wednesday. A high-value client arrived unannounced, visibly upset about a delayed contract. The reception desk froze. Protocol dictated escalation to senior management. Instead, she stepped forward. "I can help you," she said, steady and respectful. The client hesitated, eyeing her simple attire. "I need to speak to someone in charge." She nodded. "I understand, but right now, I am the one here." She listened, did not interrupt, did not defend the company. When the client finished, she repeated the concern back word for word, then offered a solution that did not exist in any manual. The client left calmer than he arrived. When she finally came to his office, she did not look triumphant. She looked tired. "You should have waited," he said. "Waiting would have made it worse," she replied. "They wanted to be heard. And if it had gone wrong, then it would have been my responsibility," she said simply. That answer stayed with him all night. The disruption followed him home. He stood in his penthouse kitchen, lights low, city spread out beneath the windows. For the first time in years, the silence felt heavy. He replayed moments he had dismissed before, employees avoiding eye contact, meetings where no one challenged him, a company that functioned perfectly, yet felt hollow. The next morning, he arrived earlier than usual. She was already there. "You do not have to be this early," he said. She smiled faintly. "I know." He paused, then asked, "Do you ever get tired of fixing things that are not broken?" She looked at him, thoughtful. "They are broken," she said, just quietly. That was the moment he understood. She was not disrupting his schedule. She was disrupting his belief that perfection meant absence of conflict, that leadership meant distance, that control equaled strength. By Friday, the office felt different. People spoke more freely. Problems surfaced sooner. Mistakes were corrected without fear. Productivity did not drop, it improved, and that terrified him. Because systems could be rebuilt. But once people began to see a different way to work, a different way to lead, there was no easy way to put things back exactly as they were. As she shut down her computer at the end of the day, unaware of the storm she had set in motion, he stood alone in his office, staring at the city below. He had hired her to assist him. Instead, she was dismantling the life he had spent years perfecting. And for the first time, he was not sure he wanted her to stop. The shift happened quietly. It did not announce itself with arguments or raised voices. It arrived late one evening, when the office had thinned out and the city lights reflected softly against the glass walls. She was still at her desk, reviewing notes, when she noticed him standing nearby, not watching her work, but simply standing there. "You are still here," she said. "So are you," he replied. She closed the folder and leaned back slightly. "I like finishing things before they follow me home." He nodded. "I used to believe the same thing." They stood in silence for a moment, the kind that did not feel rushed. For the first time, neither of them seemed to be measuring the other. "Do you ever stop?" she asked gently. "Even when you are not here?" The question was not intrusive, just curious. He considered it carefully. "No," he said. "I do not think I do." She studied his face, not with concern, but recognition. "That sounds exhausting." He almost disagreed. Almost. Instead, he said, "It keeps things in order." "Does it?" she asked. The word lingered between them. Over the next few days, he found himself noticing details he had trained himself to ignore. The way she checked in with people after difficult conversations. The way she asked questions before making decisions. The way she absorbed frustration without letting it harden her. One afternoon, a junior employee made a costly mistake. In the past, the response would have been swift and final. He waited, curious, as she handled it. She called the employee into a small conference room, not his office. "What happened?" she asked. The explanation came out in broken sentences. Fear, apologies, expectation of punishment. She listened, then she asked one question. "What do you need so this does not happen again?" The answer was simple. Training, time, support. When the employee left, relieved and determined, he spoke quietly. "You should have reported that to me." "I will," she said, "but first I wanted to understand it. And if understanding costs us, then we decide together," she replied. "But fear always costs more." That night, he drove home without turning on the radio. He thought about the first years of building his company. Long nights, ruthless choices, the belief that distance protected him from failure. Somewhere along the way, protection had turned into isolation. The following Friday, something unexpected happened. A system error caused a brief outage, nothing catastrophic, but enough to unsettle investors watching closely. Calls flooded in. Pressure mounted. He prepared to step in. She stopped him. "Give me 10 minutes, she said. He hesitated, then nodded. She coordinated teams calmly, delegating without panic, speaking with clarity and respect. When the system came back online, she drafted a transparent update before anyone asked for one. The response was immediate. Trust, not backlash. When it was over, she exhaled slowly, shoulders dropping for the first time all day. "You did not have to protect us like that," he said. "I was not protecting the company," she replied. "I was protecting the people." That night, they shared takeout in the break room. Not a meeting, not a strategy session. Just two people sitting across from each other, paper containers between them. "I did not expect this job to feel like this," she said. "Neither did I," he admitted. She looked at him then, really looked at him. "You do not have to prove anything here." The words unsettled him more than any challenge had. For years, his life had been defined by control and precision, by a perfect image that never cracked. And yet, in the presence of this woman who had entered quietly and changed everything without asking permission, something inside him was loosening. He had hired her to assist. Somewhere along the way, she had begun to reach places no one else ever had. And for the first time, the idea of letting go did not feel like losing control. It felt like relief. The reveal did not come with warning. It arrived on a Monday morning, announced by polished shoes and lowered voices. She sensed it before she understood it. The tension in the air. The way conversations stopped when she passed. The way the receptionist straightened suddenly, eyes fixed on the elevator. A board meeting, unscheduled, urgent. She adjusted her notes and headed toward the conference floor, assuming she would be coordinating from the outside, as usual. But when the doors opened, she was stopped gently by security. "Staff only," one of them said, apologetic but firm. She hesitated. "I am the assistant to the acting operations manager." The man glanced at his tablet, then nodded. "You can enter." Inside, the room felt different, larger, colder. 12 people seated around the table, all eyes sharp, all posture controlled, power concentrated, not spoken. And at the head of the table, he was already standing, not in rolled sleeves, not with his jacket over the chair, in a tailored suit, dark, impeccable. The room rose as one. "Good morning," he said. His voice was calm, familiar, yet suddenly distant. "Let us begin." Her breath caught. She did not sit. She stood frozen just inside the doorway, mind racing, trying to reconcile two images that no longer fit together. The quiet man who watched from the sidelines. The leader everyone deferred to. One of the board members smiled politely in her direction. "You must be the new assistant." She nodded slowly, unable to speak. He did not look at her. The meeting moved quickly. Financial updates, strategic adjustments, decisions made with confidence and speed. He spoke with authority she had never seen him use, dismantling objections with precision. This was not an act. This was command. Each word landed like a weight. It was not that he was powerful. It was that he had never told her. When the meeting ended, chairs scraped softly against the floor. Members filed out, offering respectful nods in her direction, as if she were now part of something she had never agreed to join. She remained where she was. He turned to her at last. "Can we talk?" he asked quietly. She found her voice. "How long?" He did not pretend not to understand. "From the beginning." Silence stretched between them. "So every conversation," she said slowly, "every decision, every moment you watched me struggle, you knew exactly who you were." "Yes. And you let me believe you were something else." He nodded once. Her hands tightened at her sides. "Why?" "To see who you were when power was not visible," he said. "To see if kindness stayed when it did not benefit you." She laughed once, sharply, not amused. "You tested me," she said, "without telling me I was being tested." "I did," he admitted, "and I was wrong in how I did it." She stepped back, distance instinctive. "You took away my choice." That was the truth of it. Not the lie itself, but the imbalance it created. "I thought honesty would come later," he said, "when it mattered less." "It mattered the entire time," she replied. The room felt smaller now, the glass walls pressing in. She saw every moment again through a different lens. Every silence, every question, every look she had mistaken for curiosity. "I was never on equal ground," she said. "I was doing my job. You were running an experiment." "That is not how it felt to me," he said. "But it is how it was," she answered. She turned toward the door. "Wait," he said. "Please." She stopped, but did not face him. "You did not fail," he said. "Not once. Everything you did because it was right, not because you thought it would be rewarded." She looked back then, eyes steady, hurt controlled but unmistakable. "That does not excuse the deception," she said. "No," he agreed. "It does not." She walked out, heels echoing down the corridor, leaving behind the man who had built his life on control and had just learned what it felt like to lose it. For the first time since she entered his world, the disruption was not quiet. It was final. The fallout was immediate, but quiet. She did not make a scene. She did not raise her voice or demand explanations beyond what had already been said. She finished the day professionally, handed off her notes, and shut down her computer as if nothing inside her had shifted. But the distance was unmistakable. The next morning, her desk was empty, not cleared out in a rush, not abandoned, simply unused. Her access badge still worked, but she did not come in. No message, no explanation, just absence. He noticed it the moment he stepped onto the floor. "She is out today," someone said carefully, as if choosing words might soften something sharp. He nodded, but the routine felt wrong. Meetings blurred together. Decisions came too easily, too cleanly, without the friction she had introduced. The building felt efficient again, and hollow. By noon, an email circulated from Human Resources, a formal notice. She had submitted her resignation, effective immediately. No accusations, no explanations. Only gratitude for the opportunity and a request that her final paycheck be processed promptly. He stared at the screen longer than necessary. That afternoon, a board member approached him. "If this is about the assistant," the man said, lowering his voice, "you did the right thing. Testing character is essential at your level." He did not respond. "You protected the company," the man continued. "You learned what you needed to know." But the truth was, he had lost something he had not intended to risk. He left the office early that evening, not to chase her, not yet. He needed to understand what had happened without control masking the damage. At her apartment building, he stopped across the street. Old brick, narrow windows, a place chosen for necessity, not comfort. The lights were on. She was home. He did not go in. Inside, she sat on the edge of her bed, shoes still on, staring at nothing in particular. The quiet felt heavier than the confrontation had. She replayed the moment in the boardroom, the way the truth had rearranged everything she thought she understood. She was not angry because he was powerful. She was angry because he had decided when honesty mattered. Her phone buzzed once, a message from him. "I would like to talk, on your terms." She did not answer. The next day, she returned to the building, not to work, to collect a personal notebook she had left behind. The receptionist looked surprised. "He is not in meetings right now," she said gently. "I am not here for him," she replied. But when she stepped into the office, he was there. He stood when he saw her, not out of authority, out of respect. "I did not come to convince you to stay," he said before she could speak. "I came to listen." She folded her arms, grounding herself. Listening after the truth comes out is not the same as listening before. "I know," he said, "and that is on me." She picked up her notebook from the desk. "You wanted to know who I was when power was invisible," she said. "Now you know who I am when it is not." He nodded. "You walked away, because staying would have meant accepting something I did not agree to," she replied. "I was never given the choice to be part of your test." "You deserved that choice," he said. She studied him for a moment, not searching for guilt, for understanding. "You did not just test me," she said quietly. "You reminded me how easy it is for people with power to decide the rules and call it curiosity." The words landed hard. "I am not asking you to forgive me," he said. "I am asking you not to doubt yourself because of me." She softened slightly at that. "I never doubted myself," she said. "I doubted the ground I was standing on." She turned toward the door. "Wait," he said. She paused. "I am changing how I lead," he said. "Not because I lost you, because you showed me what I was missing." She met his eyes, steady and calm. "Then do it without me," she said. "If it matters, you will." She left without looking back. And for the first time, he understood that redemption did not begin with winning someone back. It began with learning how to stand differently when no one was watching. The change did not begin with an announcement. There was no email sent to the entire company, no carefully worded speech, no attempt to repair his image. What he did instead was far more uncomfortable. He started by undoing himself. The following Monday, the executive floor noticed something strange. Meetings that were usually closed were suddenly open. Chairs once reserved were left empty. He asked questions he had never asked before, and when answers were slow or imperfect, he did not interrupt. People did not trust it at first. They waited for the trap. Human Resources was called into his office that afternoon, not to discuss performance metrics, to discuss policy. "We are changing how authority works," he said. "No more unilateral decisions that affect people without their presence. If someone is impacted, they are in the room." There was hesitation, legal concerns, efficiency arguments. He listened. Then he said, "Efficiency without dignity is not efficiency. It is fear with better lighting." That phrase traveled fast. He restructured review processes, created space for dissent, protected employees who spoke up, even when it slowed outcomes. For the first time, people were promoted for integrity, not compliance. It cost him. A major client pushed back, unhappy with delays caused by new internal checks. A board member warned him quietly that investors valued certainty more than ideals. He did not argue. He accepted the loss. Across town, She heard about it by accident. A former coworker messaged her late one night. No commentary, just a screenshot of a memo. Policy changes, transparency clauses. Her name was not mentioned anywhere. She stared at it longer than she meant to. She did not respond. Weeks passed. He never reached out again, not once. No apologies, no invitations, no requests for forgiveness. He let the distance remain intact, even as it pressed against him daily. Instead, he redirected something else. He funded a new internal program, but refused to name it after himself. It focused on mentoring employees who had been overlooked, not to extract loyalty, to redistribute access. When asked why he was doing this, he said only, "Because leadership that does not change behavior is performance." The press noticed eventually. So did the board. One afternoon, during a quarterly review, a senior member asked, "Are you trying to make a statement?" He answered honestly, "I am trying to fix something I broke." That night, she stood outside a small nonprofit office, resume in hand, preparing for an interview that paid less than she deserved, but aligned with who she was. As she waited, her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She almost ignored it. The message was brief. "I am not asking you to return. I am not asking for anything at all. I wanted you to know that I am building something differently now, whether you ever see it or not." She closed her eyes, not because she was tempted, because for the first time since she walked away, the weight in her chest eased. Inside the interview room, she spoke with clarity, with conviction, without needing to prove anything. And across the city, in an office that no longer felt like a fortress, he sat alone at his desk, understanding something fundamental at last. Redemption did not come from being chosen again. It came from choosing to act correctly, even when the person who inspired the change was no longer watching. That was the price. And for the first time in his life, he paid it willingly. The reunion was not planned. There was no dramatic invitation, no carefully chosen setting meant to impress. It happened on an ordinary afternoon, months after everything had settled into its new shape. She was leaving the nonprofit office later than usual, winter air sharp against her face, when she saw him across the street. Not waiting, not watching, just standing there, hands in his coat pockets, as if he belonged to the city instead of towering above it. She stopped. So did he. For a moment, neither of them moved. Traffic passed. People hurried by, unaware that something fragile and unfinished hung in the space between two strangers who were not strangers at all. "I did not know if you would want to see me," he said first. "I did not know if I did," she replied honestly. He nodded. "I understand." They walked together without deciding to. No destination, just steps matching naturally, like a habit the body remembered before the mind intervened. "You look different," she said after a while. "So do you," he answered. She smiled faintly. "I am happier." He did not pretend that did not matter. "I hoped you would be." They stopped near a small park, benches dusted with fallen leaves. He did not sit. He did not claim space. He waited. "I did not come to explain myself," he said. "You already understand what I did wrong." She studied him, searching for traces of the man who once watched from behind glass walls. "I saw the changes," she said, "not because you told me, because they reached people who needed them." "That was the point," he replied. "And not because you wanted me back?" He met her gaze. "Especially because I might never have you back." The words settled gently, without pressure. "I learned something after you left," he continued. "Power reveals itself most clearly in what it refuses to give up. I had to give up control to learn how to lead. And I had to give up you to understand what honesty actually costs." She breathed out slowly. "I did not leave because I did not care," she said. "I left because caring without consent is not connection. It is imbalance." "I know," he said. They sat then, side by side, not touching. "I'm not asking you to return to what we were," he added, "because what we were was built on something broken." She turned to him. "Then what are you asking?" "Nothing," he said. "Only this. If we speak again, it is because you choose to, not because I deserve it." Silence followed. Not awkward, thoughtful. She looked at the skyline, then back at him. "If this starts again," she said, "it does not start with your world." He nodded immediately. "It starts with yours." "And no tests," she added. "Never again," he said. She smiled, this time without restraint. They stood to leave, walking in opposite directions at first. Then she stopped. "One more thing," she said. He turned. "You once said you wanted to know who people were when power was invisible," she said. "This is who I am." "I know," he replied. "That is why I am here." They did not promise anything, no declarations, no guarantees, but as they walked away together, slowly, evenly, something felt different than before. Not perfect, honest. And in a life once defined by control and certainty, that honesty became the most valuable thing he had ever chosen. She did not disrupt his perfect life. She showed him how to build a real one.